Hello and welcome, my name is Nathan from Movement Focus. So again, you'll have to excuse me, last day of Ramadan, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, I haven't trained much. However, I'm going to teach you today two new movements, influenced a lot by capoeira and stuff like that, that you can put into your movement practice. So the first movement I'm going to teach you is the roll. That is its English name, and so it's essentially a moving capoeira. Capoeira is a martial art that really ties in so much with this kind of locomotion movement training, as does things like, breakdance and stuff. So you'll find a lot of these movements in these different movement practices. But basically, so I'm just going to demonstrate to you first what the roll is from just a basic squat. So I'm just here in the squat, and I'm just going to come around back into the squat, and you can do it both ways, just like that. So that is our first movement, and I'll demonstrate to you now, kind of break it down for you, how to get into it, how to do it. So we're going to start from the flat foot squat, the deep squat. Now, like I said in previous lessons, if you can't do this, on your toes bit is okay. So yeah, essentially, from your squat position, all we're going to do, we're moving in the left direction. So all we're going to do is we're going to start by placing our left hand with our fingers pointing backwards. But as you can see, it's a bit of a stretch for me to do that without moving my squat according to where I'm putting my hand. So I'm going to lean as I do so. So my left hand is down and I'm leaning, I'm kind of pushing out at the knees, tilting here to the left, just to allow my left hand to make contact there. Now all I'm going to do here is my right hand needs to come around shoulder width or so across here. But at the same time, my legs need to move. So what I'm going to do is, as I'm going to reach across, I'm bending at the knees to raise my hips up a little bit. So I reach across with my right, my knees come up, and as this hand is coming round, about to make contact, I'm going to sweep my right leg. So the first step is going to look like this. Left hand down, lean, right hand reaches, right leg comes round. Just like that. And so we'll practice this a few times. Left hand down, lean, right hand comes round, right leg moves, and back we go. And we'll just do this a few more times, just to get used to that movement. Now, in capoeira, you'll always be watching your opponent or your dancing partner. And so when you're doing this movement, you'll keep contact the whole time, eye contact, and this is to make sure that you're not going to hit them for spatial awareness. I mean, not hit them during sparring, but to hit them and not get hit during, full contact stuff and proper practice. Now, simply for the practice of the movement, I think it's a personal choice whether you look through your arms at wherever you're moving or not. You can look at the floor. Now, I think you should have a good mix of both if you don't always want to look, towards your front if you're doing it, because there are a few movements that do require you to look through while you're inverted, such as the hollow back handstand and some more advanced kind of moves, but that's really up to you. I'm not a strict teacher, you have to do this, you have to do that. I'm simply teaching you some movements, learning myself, you know what I mean? So, that's the first step, right? So it's just this one. Now the second one is going to be to move our left leg. So we're in this position, we now need to sweep our left leg down while bending at the right leg, and as we do so, our hips come lower to allow us to go into that squat, and our left hand comes up, and there we go, we're back in the squat. So let me just demonstrate that again. So we've got our first step, so lean, place left, place right, right leg moves. Now we're pivoting almost on the right leg. The left leg is coming round, we lower our hips into the squat, left hand comes up, and we're back in that squat. So give that a few goes, get used to the movement, film yourself. Filming is a very important part of any solo movement practice. Film yourself, see how it looks, make the improvements then. If for some reason you don't have the mobility in your hamstrings to get up into a nice, stretch position like that. Then very simply, do it low. Depending on how you want to move and what applications you want to do with the movement, you can move low and you can move high. It really depends on what you want to do and how you want to move. So experiment with it a bit and really feel it out, see what you like. And of course, make sure to practice it on both sides. So you very might simply do sets and reps. So you could go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you do 4 kind of fast, and then you can do another 4 slow, 1, and so on. And you can do it for sets and reps and just kind of experiment with the speed, the height, and just feel the movement. Now our second and final movement I'm teaching you in today's lesson is something most of us used to do as a kid, and that is the bridge. Now the bridge, for those of you who don't know, is this movement here, otherwise known as like the crab, or just kind of, you know what it is. See a lot in gymnastics, and of course kids do it. So it's quite a complex movement, or position, should I say, when you think about the biomechanics. So firstly, your thoracic or upper spine and back really needs to be able to kind of push outwards and stretch in that awkward position. If you have tight pectoral muscles, or maybe front delts, anterior deltoids, it might be a bit tough for you. At the same time, you need a bit of lower or lumbar spine mobility to enable you to kind of get your legs nice out and straight. Most of the kind of flexion should go in your upper back, but then of course you need relative decent, mobility in your hip flexors and along your quads just to get your legs straight. So I'll show you a few things you can do to progress to this movement or to this position, and if you can already do it, perfect. So as opposed to just doing the bridge, some people will have to kind of go in a sitting position, go back and then push up. And that's great, you can do that. Any movement is a movement. As long as you do it safely, you can incorporate it into locomotion flow and your movement training. However, one of the most kind of versatile moves into and out of the bridge, I find, is to go around the side and back over. So for example, you could be, doing a monkey walk and then just decide to come in and then back out of a bridge, or so many different things, You could literally kind of come out of like a lizard walk, and again, you're coming in and then you're coming back out. So I think progressing into this side entrance, the side exit, is very important. So you can very simply practice this side exit and side entrance by starting in the squat, placing your left hand, right hand down, fingers pointing away from you. You'll pivot a little bit on your hands, but that's fine. And from here, all you do, making sure you've got enough room between your hand and foot. The closer it is, the more stress there'll be all along the front of your body where you're trying to stretch. So if you feel that, go a bit further out. And so from here, all you do is you push up at the hips and let this arm come round. And the more you can do it, the further round you can get. If you can only get this far, completely fine. Simply just keep practicing in this range of motion until you can get further round. And then to exit, you do the exact same thing. You're in the bridge and you start by taking one hand off slightly and really just feeling the movement. It's just a gentle kind of exploration of how far you can go. Very simply put like that. Now, when we talk about building up the mobility and the flexibility to do the bridge, there's a few ways we can go. I'm going to show you 2 very simple and very practical, I think, stretches that can help you get there. So number 1, we require a box or a chair or something of around squat chest height, if you know what I mean. So I've got a chair with me here, and like I said, it's around my chest height when I'm in a squat, a little bit lower, that's fine. So we want to make sure that we're not going to hurt our knees, so you can get a yoga mat or just some cushioning on the floor. Now all you're going to do, place both knees on the floor. You can have your toes or feet flat on the floor, whatever's more comfortable, more practical for you. Now you want to be a decent length away from the chair. Obviously this depends on your height, but you want to be far enough so that when you place your hands on the chair, you can get a decent range of motion pushing your chest down. Okay? So from here, I'm just going to push your hips up. You can push the box or chair out depending on how kind of far you need to be. Now, all you want to do is really push, keeping your arms straight, push your shoulder blades together almost, and bring that sternum, the center of your chest, down to the floor. And as you can see, it's creating this flexion along my pec and kind of like the front of my deltoid to really kind of push my arms back and get that very practical range of motion for this movement. Now, the important thing when doing this stretch is not to bend your lower back like this, because if you're going, it takes away from the stretch of your upper back. So very simply, just like we did in the previous lesson for the ab exercise, I want you to tilt your pelvis so you're going like this. Not so much rounding your middle back, but just engaging the abs and slightly tilting those hips forward. And you'll notice that allows for a much deeper stretch without having to go down into a mad position. So work on that. Simply push down to where you feel the stretch, go back up. You can read up on different stretching techniques, but that is the basic. Okay, and the final kind of exercise to help us with this bridge is to find a wall. I have a wall there, but it's a bit awkward for the camera angle, so I'm going to use this wall back here just as a bit of a demonstration. Let me move that there. So like I said, ideally you do it with a taller wall so you can have more room for progression for especially beginners. But all we're going to do essentially is lean back into the wall and walk our hands down to where we feel the stretch, and then we can walk it back up. And this really allows you to firstly discover your range of motion, where your body is comfortable, and secondly, with practice of course, it will increase your mobility and your range of motion in this position. So very simply, we come to the wall. Obviously with a taller wall you can walk down, and simply you walk your legs out to make it less of a stretch, to get more into the arch, walk it back up if you simply want to work more on your upper back and arm mobility. But very simply, you can just kind of hold the position and slightly walk down, walk back up, come out of it, twist in, twist out of this bridge position. And like I said, with a bigger wall, it'll be easier for beginners. But very simply, it's a really useful tool. A wall, a tree, anything sturdy that you can grip, that you can just kind of walk your hands down, twist in, twist out of, will really help build that mobility and the stretch for the bridge. And so there we go. 5th lesson is complete. Please let me know what you think, subscribe, and yeah, you can follow my Instagram down below. And yeah, until next time, peace.